Hey guys, my name is Savannah and I will be your instructor for today's online class. This is a recording of a Zoom conference that we held live. We do them live every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 6 o'clock. So if you want to join us for the live version of these recordings, just shoot us a message and we'd love to get you guys signed up for that. Other than that, I really hope you enjoy today's class and namaste. Obviously, there are many standing postures that help ground us into our body. Just literally sitting on the ground, sometimes you just can't beat it. So wherever you are, in your house, in your living room, on your back porch, just take a second to find a really comfortable seat. Maybe you soften the gaze or completely close the eyes. And just start to notice your breath here. You don't necessarily have to change it or lengthen anything. Just notice, are you breathing deeply? Maybe you find yourself having, to need to take a really deep breath in. And if so, go ahead and do that. Start to straighten out the spine here, making sure the shoulders are drawn away from the ears. I'm going to move through some micro adjustments here in the very beginning, just to really tap into our body. I know there's a lot going on right now, and as just curious beings, we want to know about everything that's going on, which rightfully so. I know there's a lot of unanswered things right now. Some of you might be working a lot more. Some of you might not be working, depending on your profession. So just kind of take a second to put all of that aside and notice what's going on in the body. And just taking some time to tap in here. Maybe drop the tongue from the roof of the mouth. Unclench the jaw, notice if there's any tension there. We're going to slightly tuck the chin back a little bit, just stacking the spine. Noticing the points of contact with our mat. So whether you're sitting on a block or a blanket, cross-legged, maybe your legs are out in staff pose, wherever you are, just kind of check in with the body. And now we're going to tap into our yogic breath, our ujjayi breath, that hopefully we can carry out throughout this practice. It's going to be an inhale and an exhale through the nose. So together we'll take a deep inhale through the nose. Slight retention at the top, and we'll exhale through the nose. Again, a deep inhale through the nose. Exhale out of the nose. Good. So I hope you guys are kind of tapped into the breath here, into the body. Keep that ujjayi breath with you throughout your practice, inhaling and exhaling through the different postures we do. For now, we're actually going to take it down onto our backs into a supine position. So go ahead and recline yourself down onto your mat, nice and controlled. And before I go down there, I do have two cats that are roaming about my room. So if you see a little cat, don't get distracted because they're gonna come. Okay, so moving down onto our backs here. We'll feel our hips touch the mat, straightening out the legs. Hey. Oh, there goes one. And from here, we're going to tuck our knees into our chest and feel the curve of our spine on the mat. And slowly release your legs back out to straight, but try to keep that low lumbar part of the back in contact with the mat. We don't want there to be a gap right under here. We want the whole back to be nice and flat and grounding down into our mat. Take a couple more deep breaths in and out of the nose here. Just grounding into your surroundings, into your space. Most importantly, into the body. We'll go ahead and pull the right knee into chest. And go ahead and move through pointing and flexing that right foot. Maybe do some ankle rolls in one direction, and then take it back the other way. Good, and with that knee pulled into chest, go ahead and make sure the right arm is extended out on your mat, so nice and grounded into the floor. You're gonna hear me say the word grounded a lot in this class. And then we're gonna move the knee across the body for a nice supine twist here, activating that lower spinal column. I like to keep my hand on my knee here. You can feel free to like straighten your leg. I like to kind of keep it a little more contained. I feel like I feel the benefits of it more. And then look over to the right. If you're not already, gaze over to that right extended hand. And then we'll pull that knee back into center, letting it go back straight onto the mat. We'll do the same thing on the left. So pulling that left leg in, pointing and flexing through that foot, waking up all that synovial fluid. Give it a couple rolls in one direction, and then the other. And same thing over here. Make sure that left hand is long and outstretched, holding you down to the mat, crossing the left leg over the body. Then go ahead and gaze out to the left hand. Taking this time here on the mat to tap into that breath. The inhales and exhales out of the nose. Good, we'll come back up to center here, straightening out both legs. Let's take a deep stretch, pulling the arms long overhead, lengthening through the body. And then nice and strong core. We'll come up to a seated position here. And also right in the beginning of my classes, I love to activate the core just because it kind of helps protect the back throughout our practice. A strong core is a strong back. And I think it's super important because a lot of us have like back tension or like lower back pain. So keeping that core and getting it engaged right away in any exercise you're doing, even if it's like just a jog, I think is super, super important. So we're gonna tilt back onto our sit bones here. Go ahead and put the hands right behind you. So just behind the low back. Shoulder blades draw together, chest becomes nice and bright. And then we're gonna tuck the knees up. So for Navasana or boat pose, the legs can stay at a bend or you can straighten them out in front of you. And let's just hold here for a few breaths. Good. Now we're gonna put the legs back down, so soles of the feet back on the ground. And we're gonna move through some twisted boat pose or twisted Navasana. So again, drawing the legs up, finding that level of comfort of this pose. So whether it's straight legs, legs down, maybe the toes stay on the mat, whatever feels good. And we're gonna bring the hands to heart center and twist to the left, back through center, and then the right. Left, center, right. Left, center, right. Left, center, right. Back through center and slowly come back down to the mat. Good, draw the knees into chest. Maybe rock back and forth on that low back. Give it a nice little massage. And then get some momentum going, rocking back and forth. We'll come back up to a seated position. So now that the core is just kind of engaged there, a little bit enlivened, we're gonna go ahead and twist the upper part of the back. So inhale, arms up overhead. Nice tall spine, draw the shoulders back into their sockets here. Left hand to right knee, right hand right behind the body. Opening the chest up to the right. Back through center, Tall spine. Inhale. Exhale, twist you open to the left. Chest is open to the side. Maybe gaze over that back shoulder. Good. Sweeping the arms up back through center. We're going to move into bound angle pose. So the soles of the feet will come together on the mat. See where it's comfortable on your hip space. Maybe it feels good to have the feet really close. Maybe a little farther is more comfortable. So move around and see what your sweet spot is. And then we'll hold on to the shins or knees, even ankles. You can grab the feet and straighten the spine. Almost using the hands to kind of recline you back. And again, tapping into our breath here. Start to slowly hinge at the hip crease forward towards those feet, lengthening through the groin muscles here. And only go as far down towards the feet as the back can stay straight. So no need to really hunch forward down to the feet. Just slowly let gravity push you down a little bit lower and a little bit lower. The cool thing about these online classes, for me personally, I've taught them for about a year now. And I think the biggest feedback I get is that people tell me I was able to get into a posture in a different way, because you don't have that pressure of the whole room kind of looking at you. Maybe you can drop the ego a little bit. You're in your own space, so take this time to really make it your practice. I'm just here to give y'all some suggestions, but do what feels good in your body. If we're doing something that doesn't feel good, find child's pose, find downward facing dog. This truly is your practice, even more so than it can be in a studio, because you're really just by yourself. So hinging forward at the hips, we'll come back up to center. We're gonna move into stack pose, so legs straight out in front of us. I'm gonna shift my perspective and go to the side so you guys can see me a little better. So flexing through the feet here in stack pose. Maybe move the sit bones side to side. Find where you can find a nice level seat. Inhale, reach the arms up above your head. Exhale, hinge at the hips, folding forward to those toes. Good. Holding here for just a few breaths. We just want to kind of lengthen the hamstrings before we start weight bearing on the legs. Good. We're going to plant the hands, shift the feet out and back behind us, and we're going to move into tabletop position. Again, we want to keep that core activated, so we're going to move into some static sunbird. So putting that right foot out behind you. Go ahead and lift the right foot up, toes pointed to the mat. And then slowly, once you find that balance, lift that left hand off the mat. Deep inhales and exhales through the nose. Checking in with the arms, making sure the wrists are right under the shoulders, making any adjustments. Good, bring it all back down to the mat. Putting the left foot out behind us, toes flex, right hand lifts. Shooting energy out of the fingertips as well as the back of the foot. Good. Go ahead and plant those hands down. So we find ourselves in tabletop here. We're going to just gaze back to the back right hip. So crunching the body to one side, center, and left. Loosening up the spine here. And while our hands are planted, let's engage in with the pointer and thumb finger. So really pressing down with those in the mat, tucking the toes, hips move up and back for downward facing dog. Go ahead and pedal out your feet here. Feel the hamstrings start to lengthen. Gaze is back in between the feet. Take some deep breaths here, in and out of the nose. Make sure they're nice and audible. You can hear your inhales, hear your exhales. Good, and gazing forward at the top of your mat, either take tiny steps, maybe a hop or a jump to the top of the mat. Inhale, arms reach up high above the head, upward salute. Exhale, hands to heart center. Now that our body is kind of nice and stretched out, warmed up a little bit, we're going to flow through our vinyasa a couple times. Feel free to do it at your own pace. The first one will take a little bit slower, kind of focus on alignment, and then we'll pick it up from there. So, inhaling, arms up overhead. Exhale, hinging at the hips, long spine, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, planting the hands, stepping back for plank. Tucking the elbows into body, hover for chaturanga. Untuck the toes, push up and back, or just up rather, for upward facing dog. Take a couple deep breaths here. We tend to flow out of chaturanga to upward dog really fast a lot, so let's hold here for a couple breaths. Good, now tuck the toes, lift those hips up and back, pushing the ground away from you. Downward dog. Good, again, looking in between the hands, we hop or step to the top of our mat. Inhale, sweep the arms up overhead. Exhale, hands to heart center. Grounding into the feet here, we're gonna inhale, arms up overhead. Exhale, chair pose. So sitting back as far as we can into the hips. Grounding down through all four corners of the feet, hands to heart center, twisting open to the right. Feel free to take a bind here, dropping that elbow to knee, or just staying in the half twist. Check in with the hips. Can they sink any lower here? When I twist, I tend to straighten my hips out. So see if you can bend into it a little bit deeper. Back through center. Inhale, upward salute. Exhale, swinging back into chair, twisting to the left. Maybe you want to just hold here in this half twist, or maybe you want to take it down to a bind. Bringing that right elbow to left knee. Breathing deeply here. Inhale, back to center. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, we plant our hands. Jump or step back for plank. Chaturanga brings us to upward facing dog. Toes tuck, downward facing dog. Pedal out the feet, and then find some stillness here, tapping in with the breath. Good. Now looking forward, hop or step, top of the mat. Inhale, upward salute. One more time, the fastest of them all. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, hands plant for plank. Moving through chaturanga. Upward facing dog. Toes tuck. Hips go up and back. Downward dog. Good. Kind of lengthen out your dog here. So hands walk a couple steps forward, maybe feet go back. Just a little bit longer of a down dog, and then float forward to plank. Pushing back, downward dog. Floating forward for plank. And then we're gonna drop that left knee down. Left hand stays planted. Opening up to the side for assisted side plank. And then feel free, once you find your angles, to put that foot up under the other one for full side plank. Breathing through the sensation, feeling those side obliques here really engaged, lifting the hips off of the mat. These can be up at the hand or down at the mat for more balance. Good. Finding center plank, we'll put that right knee down. Right hand is planted, opening up, finding that alignment, making sure shoulders are stacked. Then we'll lift that bottom leg. Good, finding center plank. We'll press down, belly low to the mat. We're gonna move through baby cobra. So just like cobra, but the hands are gonna float. So it kind of works out low lumbar. So inhale, float the hands, chest is bright, gaze is up. Exhale, forehead to the mat. Rock the forehead back and forth. Inhale, hands float, baby cobra. Try to get your gaze all the way up to the ceiling if you can. Or the sky if you're outside. Good, forehead back down to the mat. Rock the forehead back and forth if it's comfortable, and see if you can kind of massage that middle part of the brow bone there that we tend to hold a lot of like tension and discernment in. I don't call them like wrinkles right here, I call them discernment lines because it's like you're concentrating a lot. So go ahead and rub that out. And then we'll plant the hands coming back up into plank. From high plank, we'll find downward dog. Looking between the hands, flowing through your vinyasa. So jumping to the top of the mat. Inhale, upward salute. Exhale, hands to heart center. Folding forward, hinging at your hips. Finding a long spine for half lift. Exhale, hands plant. Stepping back for plank. Moving through chaturanga. And upward facing dog. And toes tuck, downward facing dog. Good. Deep breaths in and out the nose. Good. We're going to bring our knees down to the mat. I'm going to go to the side. Obviously, you guys can stay however you can see me. Knees down onto the mat. We're going to move through gate pose. So my left leg is going to stay grounded first. Sticking that right foot out into the side here. Try and get the pinky side of that right foot even grounded into the mat. So maybe move the ankle about, see if you need to shorten the stance or lengthen it to get that toe down. Sorry. Okay. Hands on our hips for just a few seconds here. See if you can slightly tuck the pelvis. We don't want to be arching the back or too tucked. Just find a nice neutral spine here in gate pose. Good. Now inhale, reaching the arms up above our head. Again, drawing the shoulders back into their sockets. You don't want to be reaching up into the ears. And then we're going to stretch over to this extended right side. So opening up through the left side body, over to the right. You can feel free to put your hand down on the leg or keep them both elevated. Again, checking in with that hip area with the pelvis. You need to tuck or extend the spine. Breathing here. Gaze is up at the sky. Inhale back through center. And now we're going to move through tilted gate over to this side. So left hand will come to the mat, reaching up and over to the left side. Deep inhales and exhales. Good, and we'll rock back through center, folding forward, hinging at the hips. Keeping the left hand planted, we'll twist up here for twisted gate pose. Deep breaths. Gaze is up at the hand or down at the floor for balance. Always a good trick. If you can't seem to find your balance in a pose, just try to look down. It normally grounds you. Good, we'll plant that hand. We'll leave the right hand planted, twisting up open to this side. The left side. Good. Slowly bringing that back down and moving to gate pose on the other side. So left foot is going to be extended out long, pinky toe side of the foot. Try to ground it into the mat. I don't want to come up, but just you do your best. Try to keep it down here on the floor. Let's take a few deep breaths. I'm going to scoot back a little bit. We'll take a few deep breaths here. Again, checking with the hips. Do you need to extend or pull them in? Another great time for a towel under the knees if you want to grab a pillow or a blanket or a towel to fold under the knees. If you've been to the studio, you know we have like the world's best prop section that I've ever seen. So that's what I'm missing the most right now in this little, quarantine we're going through. I miss the props, but luckily a towel does the job just as well. Good, so now we'll stretch over to that left side. So maybe the arm comes down, maybe you keep them both elevated, whatever feels good. Every side is different, so just listen to the body. Gaze is up at the ceiling, feeling that right side just lengthen and open up. Good, we'll come back through center, tipping the gate over to the right, the right. Reaching up and over. Good, back through center, and we'll hinge forward at the hips. Hands come to the mat. We'll leave that right hand planted, left twist. Good, planting the left hand, back down on the mat, and we'll twist open to the right. Probably won't be as deep, but do the best you can. Good, and then we'll go back down through center, hinging up at the hips. Let's bring both knees together and move into tabletop position. Let's roll the spine out through a quick round of cat-cow. So inhaling, dropping the belly, tailbone raises, curving the spine. Move through a few of these at your own breath. Just rolling out the vertebrae. And then we'll tuck our toes, hips go up and back for downward dog. Looking between the hands, right foot steps between, and we're going to come up for warrior one. So neutral hips, forward facing, top of your mat. Deep breaths here. Finding that strength in the legs. Maybe find a slight back bend here, opening through the heart space. Good, and we're gonna move through high lunge. So lifting that back heel off of the mat like it's flat up against a wall. So you want the heel nice and raised. Maybe you need to change the length of your stance here. Hands to heart center. We'll twist open to the right. Back through center, twisting to the left. Good. We'll bring that heel back down, straightening that front leg, moving through triangle pose. So kind of open the stance like you're on railroad tracks, almost parallel legs, you're a little bit open, kind of staggered if you will. And we're gonna open the hips to the side, chest is nice and wide, and just tipping forward down towards the mat. We don't have to reach the mat. Hand can just come to shin here, is what I like to do, so I'm not dumping into this side body here. So just keep it nice and controlled. We'll tilt back up to center and move right into warrior two. So lengthening the stance probably, depending on your proportions. Opening up to the side, gazes forward. Good, we'll drop that right arm either onto the leg or straight down for extended side angle. Try to see if you can get your gaze to that top left hand. Back through warrior two, and then reverse warrior. Opening up to the side. Good, fighting warrior two. We'll move forward to the top of our mat. Exhale, forward fold. Good. Inhale, halfway lift. We'll move through our vinyasa. Hands plant. Jumper step back for plank. Chaturanga. Upward facing dog. Toes tuck, hips up and back. Downward facing dog. Good. Now our left foot will come between the hands. We'll come up for warrior one. So checking with those hips, making sure they're neutral front facing, not open to the side. Think of pulling the left hip almost to the back corner of your mat. Deep breaths here. Maybe find that slight back bend opening through the chest. Strong legs. Good. We'll come up through high lunge so that heel is just lifting off the mat here. It's the only difference. Lengthening the stance or shortening it depending on your body. Hands to heart center. Twisting to the right. Back through center. Twisting to the left. Again, back through center. Bring that hip down, straighten the legs, open the hips to the side, arms out long for triangle pose. So starting just to tip down towards the mat. Deep inhales and exhales. If your hand does want to come to the ankle or shin, that's another good thing too. If you don't have the yoga block, you can just use like a thick textbook. Or just grab onto the old ankle. Good, and then I like to put a slight little micro bend in this front knee to bring me back up to standing. It just feels more comfortable. And then we'll shift the hips for warrior two. So sinking nice and deep into that 90-degree. Arms open to the side, gazes forward. Finding the breath here. Good, we'll move through extended side angle. Rotate that arm open so the chest can really open up to the side. Gaze is at the ceiling, or if you're having trouble balancing here, just go ahead and look down to the mat, and that normally does the job. Good, back up warrior two, and we'll reverse our warrior, opening up. Good. Moving through warrior two, we'll jump to the front of our mat. Boom. Inhale, upward salute. Exhale, forward fold. Moving through our vinyasa, halfway lift. Plant the hands. Jumper step out into plank. Chaturanga. Upward facing dog. And you know what's next. Toes tuck. Downward facing dog. Let's take a few deep breaths here. Really pausing into the hamstrings. Good, let's bring the knees wide to the mat, toes come together, hips sink back onto the heels, and then slowly start to walk the chest down to the mat for child's pose. A fun little variation I like to do for child's pose is I like to put my arms kind of by my sides. It's a little bit more relaxing on my shoulders, so feel free to try that. With the face down on the mat here, I say it all the time, it's like my favorite way to tap into my breath. It's when you realize that you're not breathing if you need to. And it's just really nice to be able to hear that audible sound of your breath coming back to you off of the mat. See if you can lengthen your inhales and extend those exhales, drawing them all the way out until you're totally empty of breath. And then we'll slowly start to peel the body back up. Putting the feet out behind us for plank, but not before we check in with those arms, making sure they're nice and straight. Holding here for a few breaths, drawing the navel up to the spine. Good, hips shift up and back, downward dog. We'll find three-legged dog here, so right toes lift off the mat. We want to keep them pointing down. We don't want to open up to the side, just keep those hips nice and neutral. Good, and feel free to open up into wild thing here. If you have enough space, wherever you are, just kind of tilting that posture over to the side. I know a lot of us might be in like a tight corner of our room, so if that's not in your space today, oh, that's fine. And then go ahead and tilt that back. So three-legged dog, planting that down, left toes lift, three-legged dog on this side. And again, feel free to open that hip open to the side, finding wild thing. Good, then we flip back. Toes are pointed to the mat. And downward facing dog. Looking between the hands, we're gonna move through our vinyasa at our own speed. So looking at between the hands, top of the mat, try to take a nice little bend in the knees and then hop to the top. Inhale, upward salute. Exhale, hands to heart center. Exhale, fold you forward. Inhale, brings the spine nice and long. Half lift. Exhale, hands plant. Stepping back for plank. Chaturanga. Upward facing dog. Toes tuck. Downward dog. And go ahead and walk the toes to the wrists here. We're gonna grab opposite elbows. Maybe widen the stance here a little bit. Feet about hips width apart. Reaching for opposite elbows, letting the head hang below the shoulders. Try to shake the head back and forth, yes and no. Letting the weight of your arms really pull down that upper body. It's called ragdoll pose. So try to like really let go, like a ragdoll. Don't put too much thought into it. Put a soft bend in the knees here. Let the chest fall to the legs. So sorry, I have the sniffles. Good. So let's kind of heel toe the feet together for a little narrower of a stance. Grounding in through the toes, maybe lifting up the toes on one foot and then the other, grounding them into the mat. And we'll draw the knees and hips together and sink back for chair pose. Holding here for a few breaths. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, chair pose. Try to sink a little bit lower this time than you were the first. Drawing the thighs up and off the mat. Hips are going down. Good, exhale, forward fold. We're gonna inhale, halfway lift, and then sweep the arms up, upward salute. Good, we're gonna move through a nice little balancing posture here. Let me just check in with everyone. Cool, cool. We're gonna move through a little balancing posture here. Dancer pose, which can kind of be intimidating. It was for me at first because I hate falling in front of people. I like to nail it, you know what I mean? So luckily, we're in the comfort of our own home, so if you fall, just get back up with us. So yeah, it's your practice, like I said, so just move with what feels good in your body. But the best tricks I've learned for dancer are to take it really slow. Personally, I'm a little ambitious, and I kind of like the show of things, and I'm like, oh yeah, I can do that. And I go into it too fast, and I lose my balance, and I fall. So To combat that, we're gonna slowly work our way into this pose. So grounding in through the feet. We're gonna do the left leg first because it's facing the camera. So what I do is I shift all of my body weight into that right leg. And then once it's all in there, that foot is just, the left foot's kind of just hanging. So find that balance with this foot still low to the ground. And then we're gonna put the right arm out in front of us. Left hand comes to hip. So just play with this right here, with that left knee just being lifted off of the ground. We'll call this baby dancer. So from your baby dancer, externally rotating that left shoulder so it goes all the way around. So we're nice and open instead of just trying to reach back. Externally rotating that shoulder, and then try to grab down the big toe side of that foot. And this can be the fullest expression of this pose. This is a great, a great low back stretch, a great quad stretch. So this can be the full expression. Or if you're feeling frisky, you can kick that left foot back into that hand. So don't pull up your foot, just simply like push that hand away from you. And you'll notice that starts to lengthen the body. And here we are in dancer. And of course, if this is your favorite and you want to see how high you can bring that leg, feel free. Just try to keep that chest nice and bright. Don't dip down towards the mat. And again, finding your breath in these balancing postures is super hard. So keep with that breath. Find your drishti, find your focus point. If you fall out, just come right back. And then slowly with control, we'll move back down to that baby dancer and then back down to standing. Go ahead and roll out the tops of the feet. So bending the toes like that. Rolling out the ankles. Good, we'll move to the other side now. So now I'm gonna shift that weight into my left until that right foot is just hanging there off the ground. Then I'll bend that knee, lifting my left hand in our baby dancer. Just enough to kind of find the balance. And then we'll externally rotate, incorporating all the parts of the brain right now to stay balanced. It's really a challenging posture, so if you're having a hard time, it's because it's hard. So now we're grabbing that big toe side of this foot, and here we are in our dancer pose. Find your balance, find that focal point to stare on, a little piece of paint on the wall or whatever, just find something to look at. It really helps you balance. And then if you want to start kicking that right foot into the hand to open up a little bit deeper. Deep breaths. And then slowly with control, bringing it back down, finding that baby dancer and back down. Again, we'll roll out the ankles. Good. Deep inhale, upward salute. Exhale, hands to heart center. Let's take a nice deep grounding breath here together. Inhaling through the nose. Exhale, let it all out of the mouth, a deep sigh. One more time, just like that. Inhale through the nose, sigh out of the mouth. Good. We'll hinge at the hips, forward fold, and move through our vinyasa. So that's a halfway lift. Exhale, planting your hands, stepping back into plank, chaturanga, upward facing dog, downward facing dog. Good. Let's take a few nice breaths in down dog here. Gaze is between the feet here in downward dog. Shake the head back and forth, let the neck hang low. Again, relax the jaw, relaxing any tension you have in the eyes or in between the brow here. And then we'll bring our knees to the mat. And however you would like to get to a seated position, go ahead and find a seated position. I don't know where you guys are practicing at, but I'm looking out of my window, and I'm lucky enough that my window faces the sunset, so it's kind of like a beautiful way to end these last 15 minutes of class here. So if you can't see the sun, just know it's setting and it's beautiful. So from this seated position, we just moved our bodies back down to the ground the same way we started this flow. So let's try to tap into that same energy we had in the beginning. I try not to talk too much about like what is going on externally in my classes. At this point, it's almost like impossible not to. But what I've found in my practice through this time of being home more, I've been able to really dive into my home practice. And just all that keeps coming back to me is gratitude. It's really hard, there's like a saying that it's hard to be like, down when you're practicing gratitude actively. So that means throughout the day, finding ways to be thankful for even the smallest things. Like I have a dishwasher in this house and I didn't used to have a dishwasher. I'm so thankful every time I open that dishwasher. So try to find a little thing like that. Maybe you have more time with your pets. Maybe you have a window facing the sunset. Whatever it is, whatever small little nugget of gratitude you can find, just kind of hold on to that. And with that in mind, or maybe it's a list of things, we'll take a deep inhale through the nose. Let it out of the nose. One more time. Good. And now we're going to move through cow face pose, or Gomukhasana, as it's called in Sanskrit. It's kind of one of those ones that incorporates all parts of the body, so I really love it to kind of wind down but still be active. So the legs are kind of half of the pose. So the knees are just going to become stacked on top of each other. I know that can be kind of hard for some bodies, so just cross them as well as you can. But the idea is to get the knees kind of just right on top, feet are out to the side. So this is the lower half of this pose. The upper half, I'm sure you're all familiar with. It's eagle arms is what I've heard them called a lot. So what we're going to do, since the right knee, my right knee is over my left. So I'm going to take my right hand, my right elbow rather, and put it in the elbow crease of my left hand. So my hands are nice and separated. I know that this is a really good shoulder activator, so maybe this is where we stay with the hands separated. But if you want to try to interlace the hands, just kind of twisting them like a vine. So I like to just kind of grab for my palm. And then we'll start to raise the elbows away from the body, finding a slight bend in the back, gazes to the ceiling. Kind of lean back as far as you can here. Gaze nice and high. Let the head fall between the shoulder blades. Just finding a moment of gratitude for our bodies, whatever expression of this pose we are in. Find a second to be grateful that we can do this, that we have this practice, that we have the safety of our homes to be in right now. And then we'll undo the arms first. Bring them up over our head to kind of counter that shoulder stretch. Hands down to the mat, and we'll undo the legs, finding staff pose for a second. Excuse me. Inhale, arms up overhead for staff pose. Exhale, folds you forward, the hips, reaching to those toes. We did this pose in the beginning of class, so maybe you noticed now it's a little easier. Maybe you were grabbing the shins, now you're at the ankles, maybe now you're at the feet. The body is super cool, and I just love that. It only takes about 10 minutes of hamstring stretches to open everything up. And then we'll come back up for staff pose. And we'll move through Gomukhasana on the other side. So right was over left last time, or whatever was over whatever leg. We'll just do opposite legs. And stack those knees on top of each other. Inhale, finding a comfortable seat. We'll do the opposite arm. So my left is over my right now. And I try to intertwine my hands here. Maybe easier on one side than the other, so just be patient with your body. And then once you kind of find the eagle arms and the legs that are in your comfortable space, start to look up to the ceiling, let the head hang between the shoulders, and find a slight back bend. So just raising those elbows up and away from the body is all it really takes. Deep breaths here, inhaling and exhaling. We'll unravel the arms, lifting them up above our head. Hands down to mat. We'll undo the legs straight out for staff pose. And we'll just keep a tall spine here in staff pose. I'm going to go to the side so you guys can see me better. And we're going to reach down for that right knee. Just hug it into chest here. And then we're going to cross it over our left leg. So sole of the feet is still on the mat. Again, hugging that knee to chest. And start to slowly turn the chest to the right. So our right knee is hugged in. And we want to just kind of use our breath and time to slowly get our chest open to the right side. You can put the right hand back behind the body the same way we did in our earlier seated twist to kind of help pull you open. Maybe you want to look over that back shoulder, deepen the stretch a little bit. Then we'll twist back through center, nice and slow. Straightening the spine, letting that right knee go. Hugging the left knee into chest, finding that tall back. And then we'll cross the left over the right, bringing that knee into chest, and then slowly start to shift the chest open to the side. Deep breaths here. Good. We'll come back nice and slow to center, finding staff pose. Arms reach high. Exhale, fold forward. Good. From here, just slowly walk your way back up. So tall spine. We're going to put the soles of the feet on the ground, and we're going to move through Navasana one more time, so almost like reversing our practice. So just as we did in the beginning, we can put the hands out behind us, bringing the feet off the mat, and let's hold here for a few breaths, pulling that belly button into the spine. Shoulders are back, drawing together. And then slowly with control, we're going to move flat onto our backs. So that's for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. We're flat on our backs now. We'll take a deep breath here. We're going to move through happy baby. So that's just grabbing the ankles or the big toes, pulling the knees down to the mat. Rock back and forth, opening up through the hip space. And then try to find some stillness here. And we're about to, while we're hanging out here, we're about to move through a pose called reverse process. I love doing this pose at a studio I used to go to practice at, They would make everybody do it up against the wall. So like legs up the wall is what they called it. It's a really beneficial pose for like circulation. It apparently helps with like sleep and stuff like that. There's just like hundreds of benefits. I hear new benefits every time someone calls this pose. And I don't like doing it at studios because I feel bad having people put their feet on the wall. So luckily we're in the comfort of our own homes. So if that is what you would like to do, and just kind of scoot the lower back up against the wall, I'll demonstrate both ways. So bringing the legs together, reverse process simply looks like this. So feet are just up, flexing through the feet, heels are drawing upwards, and you're just reversing the process of blood flow here. You can also, if you have a yoga block handy or a towel, you can fold that under the low back and slightly lift the pelvis off the ground, kind of making it a little bit of inversion where the heart becomes above the head. And then since we are in our own house, and if you want to, you can do this reverse process, legs up against the wall, which just looks like this. This is a great posture to do just to kind of alleviate if you have like sciatica or like tightness in the legs or like numbness some people experience in the legs, especially before bed. This is a great way to combat that. And when they're up against the wall, you can really sink more into it. So I do love that added benefit of the wall. It's the cheapest yoga prop. And we'll bring our hands to our low belly, whether or not we are in regular reverse process or not, or up against the wall, your choice. And I bring the hands to our low belly here, and just notice our breathing. Just taking a few moments to let all the blood flow the other way. And if you are on the wall, feel free to shimmy your way off. And then we'll slowly start to bring our feet back down so soles of the feet hit the mat. And we'll find bridge pose here for a moment. So walking the shoulder blades closer together, soles of the feet walk a little closer to the body, and we lift the hips off of the mat. Feeling that slight retention in the throat. Deep inhales and exhales. We'll start to slowly lower that pelvis back down. We'll windshield wiper our knees to one side and then the other, just letting the knees fall open to the side. And here I invite you, which I normally do in my in-person classes, to just move through whatever pose you feel like you need to do in your body, whether that is a handstand or an inversion of some kind. Maybe it's plow or shoulder stand or another happy baby, or maybe you want to put your legs back up the wall. Whatever pose that you want to get in right now, just take this as your time to move through that. I'm going to take child's pose. Since I was talking through most of them. So I'm going to take child's pose. Just find a pose, maybe pigeon you want to do, whatever your body is calling for in your practice. And then whenever you're getting out of that pose, whatever you chose to do, shoulder stand or what have you, I invite you guys to move into a traditional Shavasana. So that is just supine on your back. I'll demonstrate how you do that. So traditional Shavasana is our final resting pose. I do like to give you guys the agency to move into whatever your pose, whatever you want your final resting pose to be. Sometimes our brains are doing so much that just laying flat can be a little hard. So if you want to find traditional, just like this, palms up to the ceiling, let the feet fall open. Or maybe you want to fall into bound angle pose, so soles of the feet come together, opening up that hip space. If you have any tightness in the hips, this is a great one to fall into. And we'll take a few deep breaths here together in whatever your final resting pose looks like. Start to bring your mind back to that place of gratitude that we tapped into earlier. Whatever that little piece of light was for you. Just take a few moments here to say thank you for your body. We're so lucky, especially at times like this. It just highlights how lucky we are for our health and our bodies and our mobility. No matter what stage of your practice you're at, we're super lucky to have it. Traditionally, I like to leave you guys in this pose for about like 10 minutes. It's a little bit different when we're here virtually. So feel free to hang out in this final resting pose as long as you like. But as far as my guidance goes, that's all I have for you guys today. Like I said in the beginning, this is your practice. So take these moments at home here to dive into what feels good in your body. It's always great to have a teacher or a guru or someone to listen to, but you know best at the end of the day. Alrighty guys, thank you so much for practicing with me today. Feel free to lay here in this resting pose as long as you'd like. But yeah, that's all I have. So namaste.